Academic Secretary, awardees, guests and colleagues. On behalf of the Chancellor, Master and Scholars of the University of Cambridge, it is my great privilege to welcome you to this public celebration of academic achievement. My name is Dr. Kirsty Allen, and I am the Interim Director of University of Cambridge Professional and Continuing Education. My colleagues and I are delighted to welcome you to the Guildhall for the 2026 Student Awards Ceremony. Today, you join the University of Cambridge alumni community. Professional and Continuing Education is the oldest university-led adult education department in the world, with roots dating back to 1873. For over 150 years, we have been pioneering access to learning, teaching beyond the university's walls, welcoming women early in our history, launching international summer programs, and introducing new academic disciplines. That tradition of openness and innovation continues through you. 2025 wasn't just a milestone year for you undertaking your studies. It was a milestone year for us, too. This was the year we transitioned from the Institute of Continuing Education, or ICE, as we were fondly known for many years, to Professional and Continuing Education, PACE. This transition introduced not just a new name, but a new brand identity, shaped by your inspiring and diverse stories, bringing to life our mission to make Cambridge learning available to every kind of learner at every stage of life. And as the inaugural PACE cohort, you will always play a defining role in our histories. Awardees, today is your day. Today we celebrate the successful completion of your course of study and the achievement that represents. You have worked hard. You have earned this moment, and we hope that you enjoy it alongside your families, friends and supporters. It is really wonderful to see you all here. Among today's awardees are those studying at university level for the very first time. Others have returned to learning after many years away. Some are preparing for new professional opportunities. Others are accelerating careers they already love. And many are learning simply for the joy of discovery and intellectual growth. Some of you have studied while raising families or fulfilling caring responsibilities. Others alongside full time employment, and others as part of an engaged and active retirement. Every pathway represented here is worthy of admiration. Our classrooms are remarkable spaces. They bring together learners from a wide range of backgrounds, ages, professions and cultures. In some courses, students span 6 or 7 decades of life experience. In others, classmates join from time zones around the world. People who left school without formal qualifications and those with doctorates learn together, from one another and alongside one another. That diversity of perspective and experience is one of our greatest strengths. For many of you, today might be the first time you're meeting classmates face to face, moving from online conversations to real handshakes and shared celebrations. Lifelong friendships and professional networks often begin in these classrooms, and we hope those connections continue long after today. We also recognise that part-time study represents a meaningful commitment. It requires organisation, discipline and determination. It often takes place alongside work, caring responsibilities and busy lives. Your achievements reflect not only academic success, but also remarkable perseverance. To earn a Cambridge qualification is an achievement of real distinction, and to do so whilst balancing other commitments is especially notable. None of this happens alone. Learning is supported by families, friends, colleagues, employers, neighbours and communities. We're delighted to welcome many of those supporters here today, and those joining us online from around the world. Awardees, I invite you to join me in thanking everyone who has supported you on your journey. Before closing, I would like to thank my colleagues, our academics, tutors, professional services teams and event organisers who work tirelessly to support our learners. I'm also grateful to the generous donors whose support extends opportunity to many more learners. Finally, to our students, congratulations. In a few moments, you will cross this stage and each of you will be celebrated equally and wholeheartedly. We hope that you will remain connected to Cambridge, continue your learning journey, and serve as ambassadors for the power and value of lifelong education. Thank you very much, and enjoy your ceremony. So, it is now my pleasure to invite our 2024-25 professional and continuing education students to the stage to be formally recognised by the Academic Secretary of the University of Cambridge for their achievement.
Academic Secretary, for the award of Certificate in Creative Writing, Creative Nonfiction, I present Valeria Butera. Emma Leitenberg. Academic Secretary, for the award of Certificate in Creative Writing, Fiction and Writing for Performance, I present Saeed Vanama. Flora Erdely. Oliver Johnson. Shreya Solanki. Sam Yarja. And Absemstra. Academic Secretary, for the award of Diploma in Creative Writing, Advanced Fiction and Writing for Performance, I present Shajida Begum Bente Saeed Enisur Rahman. Caitlin Cashmore Roche. Corinne Gladstone. Alexandria Nikolova. Valma Pippi. Academic Secretary, for the award of Diploma in Creative Writing, Advanced Nonfiction, I present Kelly Joanne D'Arcy. Catherine Foley. Francis Macareth. Janet Nichols. Siobhan Pushman. Geraldine Surgent. Academic Secretary for the Award of Certificate of Higher Education in Creative Writing, I present Juan Ugueta Menchera. Academic Secretary for the Award of Diploma of Higher Education in Creative Writing, I present Martin Duffy. Lucy Marty. Academic Secretary for the Award of Postgraduate Certificate in Teaching Creative Writing, I present Pippa Bicheno. Anita Bell. Catherine Brooke. Reginald Graham. Janice Mamukwa. Benjamin Mallour. Esme Mills. Ruth Quayle. Fiona Smith. Hannah Stuckey. Safia Umar. Keyu Zhao.
Academic Secretary for the award of the Certificate in English Literature, Approaches to Literary Study, I present Ilsa Khan. Emily Overage. Angelina Villa. Tanling Wu. Academic Secretary for the award of Diploma in English Literature, past and present, I present Fatima Al-Mansouri. Simon Burton. Sorry, Simon. Emma Broadhurst. And Anna Crowther. Academic Secretary for the award of Certificate of Higher Education English Literature, I present Najma Azman.
Academic Secretary for the Award of Certificate in Human Science Foundation, I present Samara Senivitrane. Mutlu Whitley. Academic Secretary for the Award of Certificate of Higher Education in Pre-Medical Studies, I present Rosie Boynes. Naima Ali Khan. Yasir Khan. Leonie Lutke. Beatrice Angie Noakes.
Academic Secretary for the Award of Postgraduate Certificate in Clinical Research, Education and Leadership, I present Konstantinia Sporonos. Faith Delavino. Ajaz Hajigi. Deborah Hall. Jonathan Haslam. Virad Kisan. Nigat Nadeem. Emmanuel Pasqua. Benjamin Rackham. Rama Sankaran. Win Sim. J. Sivakumaran. Christian Than. Susan Warren.
Academic Secretary. For the award of Postgraduate Certificate in Genomic Medicine, I present Murugan Athayapan. Alan Cameron. Lyndon Elvey. Shalini Malhotra. Mumita Roy. Academic Secretary. For the award of Postgraduate Diploma in Genomic Medicine, I present Cesar Sabah.
Academic Secretary. For the award of Postgraduate Certificate in Medical Education, I present Iram Amin. Prerana Bandari. Ashwini Chandamarani. Esme Chinara. Big one, that was Shira. Esme Chinara. Veronica Coldangelo. Bianca Coldia. Callum Donaldson. Sarah Edwards. Merrick Erdan. Melissa Forsyth. Leo Gambetta. Callum Gundolfi. Amy Gatton. Nicholas Hallett. Rachel Hoskin. Ansam Khan. Esther Law. Jamie Lawford. Andrei Lucificic. Samantha Margate. Kerry Moorhouse. Teresa Murray. Zartash Rehan. Zubair Sarang. Deepika Sharma. Nicholas Sillett. Alexandra Smith. Holly Stewart. Aidan Taylor. Elizabeth Turner. Elizabeth Wheater. Yutsen Ye. Ivayo Zekov.
Academic Secretary for the award of Postgraduate Certificate in Teaching and Learning in Higher Education, I present Jan Moritz Bogdanovic. Samuel McDermott. Moritz Mihach. Fatme Torabi.
Academic Secretary for the award of Postgraduate Certificate in Professional Practice in Architecture, I present Andre Dinu. Asmina Ghulam Hussain. Jodie Howard. Joshua Kirkwood. Sweta Lakushamanan Sankar. Timothy Rodber. Michael Saniewski. Yi Teng Janice Tai. Will Tankard. Jamel Turab. Academic Secretary for the award of Postgraduate Diploma in Medical Education, I present Sarah Bassioni. Harpreet Kasiba.
Congratulations once again to our awardees. Something a little bit different before we continue. I'd like to welcome our friendly videographer, Louis, to stage in a moment. Louis is going to be recording from the perspective of one of our fabulous awardees so that we can share a little bit of what they experience with our incoming cohort of learners. I'd love for you to give Louis the same warm welcome you've been giving your friends and families as we welcome Louis to the stage. So today is your ceremony. and it's fitting to have the voice of our learners represented during the proceedings. I would like to invite to the stage Safia Umar.
Good afternoon to you all. It's not even afternoon yet. Good morning to you all. My name is Safia Umar, and I am a student studying at the University of Leeds, doing my undergrad, and here at the University of Cambridge, doing my postgrad in teaching creative writing. I am a 22-year-old author, and to be honest with you guys, I never actually had plans to go to university. So a few years ago now, right after I did my A-levels, I kind of like poured my heart into my A-levels, you know, like stress, revision, everything. And I got some decent grades. And then I planned to go to university. I sat in the first day in my lecture, and I just thought, oh, I can't. I've had enough of the education system. So I came home from university that day, and I said to my parents, I said, you know what, I don't want to go to university. And you know, like with hindsight, I could see that they were probably thinking, what on earth? Like, what is she doing? First day of uni, and she's already given up. But I was like, you know what? I need a break. So in that same year, at 18 years old, I decided to get my first book published, which is like a really big achievement for me. And like still to this day, I can't believe that I've actually done that. And so I took a gap year from my studies, and I spent that time promoting my book. I went into schools, delivered talks and workshops to students, and along the way I kind of developed a sort of frustration that I had even from when I was at high school, that creativity just isn't encouraged in schools as much as it should be. You know, as a student, we barely got to see authors coming into schools. Our school had actually stopped doing as much for World Book Day and stuff like that as well. And like, as a student who was very passionate about reading and writing, I found this really, really frustrating. You know, I wish we could have had more non-STEM related professionals coming into school. So I spent my first year as an author, you know, like I said, promoting my work, and then I kind of made the decision to go into university because when I published my book, I was under the illusion that I would make tons of money. So, so when I told my parents I'm not going to go to university, my dad was like, you know what, maybe you could consider it for next year. And I was like, in the back of my head, I'm thinking, he doesn't even need to worry. This time next year, I'll be like a millionaire. And, it'll be and then, you know, the year was nearly up, and I realized, oh, authors don't actually become millionaires, and I've got to like find something to do with myself. So I decided to apply for undergrad at the University of Leeds. I did my first year there studying linguistics and phonetics. And then towards the end of the year, my dad sends me a text message. And he's like, Safia, have you seen this course at the University of Cambridge? It's a postgraduate course in teaching creative writing. I'm like, first of all, I'm already at university, you know, I'm at Leeds. And I was like, I had 2 universities at once. And he's like, yeah, go for it. And I was like, no, it's a postgraduate, I can't do a postgraduate. And so my dad had already looked into it, and he said, well, the case is that you either have to have a degree or have already published a book. And in your case, you've already published a book. So you know what, you might as well go for it and see how it goes. And to be honest with you, I feel like a lot of people up here would say that it's been their dream since they were little to have gone to the University of Cambridge. But for me personally, I didn't really see myself ever getting in. I thought, you know what, I actually can't picture this happening. So I applied. I didn't really think I was going to get it, to be honest. And then I had the interview with Lucy and Yvonne, and I realized from that interview that the postgraduate course in teaching creative writing has so many similarities to like my own like passions. So they were all about, you know, promoting creativity in schools. They were all about encouraging students to go into creative writing and, you know, decolonizing the curriculum and everything. And right after that interview, I was like, oh my God, I have to get into this course because these people are my people. And you know what? I'm so glad I haven't wanted to go to Cambridge since I was young, because just them 2 days of waiting to hear back were they were so intense. I kept thinking, oh my gosh, I really, really want to go. And then I got the email back to confirm that I've been accepted into Cambridge. And, you know, for me personally, that moment was just incredible, you know. This kind of achievement at my age, not just for myself, but for my community. You know, I'm from Luton, which I don't know if many of you have heard of, but it's quite a small town. And so for my people, I felt like this was a very big achievement, you know, somebody from Luton going to the University of Cambridge. And then not just that, but my family as well. You know, my dad tells me a lot about how his father was very, very fond of the University of Cambridge. You know, my granddad, he came here in his late teens from Pakistan as a laborer. And, you know, he put his full effort into ensuring that he works hard here, he makes a good income, he can bring his children, his family here, and he made sure to give his children a good enough upbringing, so that they can succeed in life and they can achieve the best here as well. And so my granddad used to say, my dad has told me this story a lot of times, my granddad used to always say to my dad and his siblings that there are two universities in England that are the best, University of Cambridge and University of Oxford. My granddad never got educated past primary school, and so for him to be able to recognize what counts as high, important education here in the UK is a really big deal. He's not alive to this day. Unfortunately, he passed away 10 years ago. But I know that for my family, this achievement, being able to stand here as the only student to be asked to speak to everybody today, that is a big achievement, not just for me, but for my family. And I carry that very strongly with me. So then I got into Cambridge, and we have our first day at University of Cambridge, and I'm really excited, and I get in, and I realize two things on the first day. First of all, I realized that University of Cambridge, Madingley Hall pastries are the best. You will not find pastries like that anywhere else. Honestly, there's no going back now. I tried on that first day. I was ooh, all these people I can meet, and I saw the pastries. And I was like, ooh, let me go and try that first. And then before that, Costco pastries are my favorite. And now even when we get Costco pastries, I'm just like, Madingley Hall's ones are better. My sisters now try to accuse me of being snobby for that, but if they knew what I was talking about. So that was the first thing I realized, it was the pastries. The second thing that I realized is that I was by far the youngest on the course. Before I joined, so at university on my course, I've got loads of 18, 19, 20-year-olds. So I had envisioned a similar thing when I got here, and then I realized, oh wait, I'm really young in comparison to my classmates. But you know what, in hindsight, that was probably the best thing ever. These students that were on my course, they were so kind, they were so caring, they were so welcoming. And you know what, I kind of saw it like a gold mine, the amount that I learned from these students. I think it's almost poetic that the course was in teaching creative writing, where most of us specialize in stories. And these students in themselves were stories. They carried so much that I just loved learning so much from them. I remember one student, Janet, who's not here today, I don't think, but she was sharing a story about her life on the island, growing up on the islands, and how their education was so different because they had to gather together and then tune into a radio from the mainlands, and that's how they were educated. And I thought, wow, I never would have even thought that. So it was just so beautiful getting to meet these people and hear their different stories and work alongside them for a year. My dad he always says to us, he has this analogy about a watch. So what he tells us is that there was this boy who inherited a watch, right? And it was a really, really old watch, and he thought, okay, you know what, I'm going to sell it. And so he took it to a jeweler's, and he said, all right, how much can I get for this? And they're like, I don't know, maybe £100 or something. I don't know, it doesn't really look all that to us. And so he says, all right. And so he takes that watch and he goes to a museum and he shows it to them, and the museum absolutely lose it. They're like, oh, where on earth did you get this watch from? This is absolutely priceless. We'll pay you tons for this. And so my dad likes to teach us that the moral from this story is knowing your worth and then knowing where that's valued. The watch didn't change between the two places. It's just how people perceived it. And honestly, on this teaching creative writing course, I've never felt my worth valued more. Everybody was so inclusive, they were so kind, they were so respectful, and honestly, I've never felt more valued than I have here. And then there were the concepts as well. Like I said, from the interview, I was so excited to get started because I knew these people were going to be my sort of people, And the stuff we learned was just incredible. We went on to learning about decolonizing the curriculum. And honestly, that was such an eye-opener for me because I never realized until this point that at schools, we don't really read books from ethnic minority authors, Muslim authors, people like myself. And until this point, I had never actually thought to read books by these sort of authors. So that was really inspiring. And recently, I've started to explore more. I recently read As Long as the Lemon Trees Grow. I don't know if anybody knows that book, but for me personally, it was a real eye-opener, you know, and I think the best thing about books and stories is that it helps you empathize and relate to other people and their struggles and what they're going through. And I feel like by reading more, you can see, you know, we've got tons of like issues going on in the world. We've got conflicts, we've got Palestine, Sudan, Lebanon. We've got conflicts going on all over the place. And the only way you can truly understand and empathize with those people is by reading and understanding their stories. And so I really, really valued that from the teaching creative writing course. Another thing I really valued was how we were talking about, you know, encouraging creativity in schools through an angle that isn't heavily GCSE focused. And for me, that was, again, such an eye-opener because until this point, I was going into schools, I was delivering workshops, and you know, there was one instance where I had come in to deliver a set of sessions to these students. And so I get in the Year 9 students, and when I get into the class, like half the students have got their heads on the tables, and they're like, not even looking at me, and I'm like, what? And then I realized these were the students who were taken off a trip for bad behavior, and the school had asked me to come and deliver some creative writing sessions. And I thought, 8:30 in the morning, and I'm stuck with these kids for the whole day, and they don't even want to be here. They could be at like Thorpe Park right now, and they're having to write stories. And like, I'll admit I was really stressed, you know, I was like, what am I going to do with these kids? They won't even look at me. So I tried to like change my approach around. I tried to divert it as much away from GCSE as I could. And I realized some of these students, okay, when I looked at their stories on paper, they had spelling errors, they had some grammar issues, but the stories, their creativity was really, really good. And so I think from this course, what I've learned is that we need to value a lot more what students have to offer that isn't heavily linked to their ability, I guess, like GCSE standard ability. And so that for me was just a real eye-opener, and so much I've learned from this course that I've been able to like now apply to my school sessions, and it's just been really, really incredible. So I'm going to kind of end on that note. I just wanted to share some of my acknowledgements. So first of all, I thank God for where I am right now. You know, you can apply for courses, you can submit your books to agents and publishers, you can do all of that, but for me personally, in my belief, you don't get anywhere without God's help, and so for that I am immensely grateful. Then to my parents, you know, I think if any parent were to send their kid to university and on the first day get told that their kid just wants to drop out, I don't think any parent would be able to process that well, but they handled it. They said to me, if that's your decision, then yeah, sure, go ahead and do it. And since then, they have always been fully supportive of what I do. You know, you don't see a lot of South Asian Muslim girls going into creative writing, and so I think my parents have helped me be the new pathway for these girls. And then a quick thank you to my sisters, Samaya, Amna, and Jweria. All three of them are here today. You know, like I think my biggest achievement in life is being their older sister. I get to learn so much from them. They keep me motivated, and yeah, it's just really, really nice. And then thank you, of course, to my cousin brothers. You know, I don't have any biological brothers, but you know, God blessed me with something 10 times better. And then thank you, of course, to my uncles and aunties and my grandmas and my friends, Larib, Shireen, Haneen, all these people who have like fully supported me along my creative writing journey. So yeah, so thank you again to everybody who has supported me along the way. And if there's anything I want you guys to take from this is just, again, to realize the significance of what this achievement means for me and for my people and my community. Thank you very much.
Well, if you don't go away from that feeling inspired, then I don't believe that you've got a soul. I'm going to hand over now to the university's Academic Secretary, Dr. Mike Glover.
Thank you. Follow that, as they say. Look, I just want to join with Kirsty in her introductory remarks in welcoming everybody here today to the University of Cambridge for this celebration, and it's a real privilege to be here with you. It's a fantastic, beautiful day outside, mirroring the celebratory feel of this event, so don't worry, I'm not going to speak for too long. But I will say a few things. The first is, and just picking up on some of the sort of things that Sophia was saying, I guess, the university's mission is to contribute to society through the pursuit of education, learning and research at the highest international levels of excellence. And sometimes this university, like many of our other elite, if you like, our sort of leading universities, is seen as sealed off from the rest of the world. But this university's mission is to serve society. And society doesn't end outside the quads in our colleges. It doesn't end outside of Cambridge itself as a city. Society, obviously, is much broader than that. And so I would say we're no ivory tower. That's what universities are often accused of. We don't just cater for those students that Sophia was talking about, those pupils who do outstandingly well in A-levels and are able to meet the really stringent entry requirements for our mainstream undergraduate programs. We also need to reach out to all kinds of other communities. And that's why PACE and the work that colleagues here do is absolutely core and integral to this university's mission. And that's why it's been that way for over 150 years. So I wondered what to say about lifelong learning today, and so I did some in-depth research, also known as Google, and came up with the following definition. Lifelong learning is the ongoing, voluntary and self-motivated pursuit of knowledge for either personal or professional reasons, aiming to develop human potential, generally, throughout all stages of life. And again, that very much seems to chime with the mission that we're celebrating here today. We've had students coming up of all different ages and all different stages in their lives, their careers, and so on. And there were 4 benefits that Google came up with from lifelong learning. Firstly, cognitive health. It's good for our brains to learn, quite apart from anything else. Secondly, employability and salary, it said. Apparently, lifelong learners are an estimated 2.5 times more likely to be employed and often earn higher wages. But unfortunately, there's no guarantees around that, so don't. That's not a contractual term of the courses that you've been studying, but there's some truth in that. Thirdly, mental well-being. Learning provides a sense of purpose and achievement, which reduces anxiety, depression, and social isolation. I think that's true. Building connections, building community is very much what lifelong learning and the learning that happens in PACE is about. And finally, and I think this is something that Sophia talked a lot about, personal fulfillment. Isn't that what learning's all about? I don't know, but the thing that motivates me to learn still is finding stuff out, exploring things I'm interested in. Just keeping that interest in life and development and growth is so important. And I think that is at the core of it all, that sort of sense of personal fulfillment. How do you have a fulfilling life? How do you have an engaged and active life? And that's what lifelong learning, I think, is all about. And I'm sure that each and every one of the students who we've been celebrating today could agree with at least 1 or 2 of those different headings as the benefits that they've gained from their studies with us. Okay, so finally, and Kirsty stole some of my thunder. I didn't know what she was going to say at the start, but I wanted to, again, recognise the huge contribution of the team in PACE, in professional and continuing education, both those academic colleagues who are on the stage, those who couldn't be with us today, and also all of the professional colleagues who've organised the event today and do all of the behind-the-scenes work. Also recognising those family members, friends, supporters who've helped you as students along the way, and many of whom are here today, but also those who aren't here. So I wonder if you could just join with me once again in showing your appreciation from all of those who've supported you on your journey.
And that brings the formal proceedings to a close. But before we retire to drinks and canapes in the small hall, I would like to invite one more round of applause for our awardees.